It feels like there's a near infinite amount of weapon rolls in Borderlands 4, so in this video I'll be ranking the best weapon manufacturer licensed accessories on a tier list from best to worst. Some of these make some huge changes to the weapons that you're using. Now, legendary and purple weapons will be able to get 3 accessories per weapon. Blues can get 2 and greens can have 1. And obviously some of these are going to be more powerful than others. First, starting off with the Jakobs licensed accessories. Now, on things like the Dark Beast, this becomes absurd because the critical hits will ricochet around multiple enemies. The Dark Beast will naturally be piercing, but you can even use the firmware high caliber with 3 of those. Piercing bullets, if you hit 3 targets and crit 3 targets, you got multiple bullets that are going to be ricocheting around. So this can be pretty crazy on certain setups because, yeah, if you're piercing those bullets, they're going to be all ricocheting around. But another thing is actually having ricochets means that you can sometimes get yourself back up if you go down, for example, because you can just fire at a boss. Like I just went down here in Ultimate Vault under 6. But all you have to do is keep aiming at the head of the boss, and it's going to ricochet those pellets as you just saw, and then that's going to end up taking out another enemy. So yeah, Jakobs licensed accessories are really good. I think everyone knows that, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that because, yeah, it's just straight up good. You can even get it on some other weapons like the Kickballer, which is kind of insane. This used to glitch out and explode everywhere. But there's a lot that actually will end up getting the Jakobs licensed accessory, and if it can, it's oftentimes the best roll that you can get for it. So yeah, I wanted to include this one first because I think everyone knew Jakobs is S tier. Now for Atlas, this is one that's a little bit less common, but there's 2 different types. So the Atlas licensed underbarrel fires tracking grenades or tracking darts. You have 2 different options there. The grenades are a larger area of effect, and they'll track and home on projectiles for 8 seconds. This is going to be pretty crazy. I'll show you guys why. The darts are a little easier to land in certain ways, and they last for 10 seconds. So if you hit them with the tracking bullet there, you can then go fire away with a gun like this. And the bullets are going to home in on the enemy, which is kind of crazy because you can just fire like this and not even hit the target, and then all your bullets are going to home in on the target just like that. So yeah, it is only for 8 seconds, but you do get them back pretty quickly. It can be pretty crazy on a weapon like this. This is TK's Wave. Using Rafa for infinite ammo, you can just continually blast away at a target, not have to worry about your aiming, which I think is really fun and powerful. The Atlas ones are kind of exclusive to certain weapons, however, and it's not one that you'd see often typically. So, while Atlas is good, I don't think that it's like a game changer, and you saw there one of the best uses for it. It's just going to make it easier to land your shots, but if you're really good at aiming, you likely won't need this as much unless you want to play from a distance. So I think that's where it really shines, is just being able to fly away from something like Bloom Reaper the Invincible and have all your shots fire and hit the target. So for that, it's pretty solid, but I don't think it's like we have a lot of really good enhancements or underbarrel attachments here. I think this one's good, but not as good as some of the others. And next we got Cov, or like the bandit style weapons. These can be a little bit harder to use because whenever you have this, it basically makes it so the magazine size ramps up and overheats. There are ways to deal with the heat. There's even weapons that like use the heat, the Golden God being the biggest example. Whenever you overheat, it just continually keeps firing, which is very, very powerful with this enhancement here. So the Quicksilver makes it so that whenever you have a Cov licensed magazine, it has a 100% chance to deal critical damage when overheating. So if you have a gun like the Golden God, which can continually keep firing, you're going to get infinite crits, which is kind of crazy considering you can get also the Jakobs licensed accessory on that weapon and also use high caliber. It shreds through Bloom Reaper the Invincible, possibly the fastest way possible because it's just going to enable certain characters to get infinite crits, like Rafa, who can actually regenerate ammo while using his overdrive skill. However, that is the best use case, and typically the Cov licensed magazine, when it heats up, you're not actually going to be able to use the enhancement as well as you'd imagine. It's only really the Golden God that makes it easy to use. But Cov licensed magazines are okay. I just honestly prefer having anything other than that. But in that 1 or 2 specific use cases, it is quite good, but I just don't think that it matches up compared to some of these others here. I want to put Cov in the C tier because we do have many others better. Like Daedalus, which is actually kind of absurd. My favorite is that you can make certain weapons become brokenly overpowered. Like as mentioned, the Dark Beast, it can come with many different roles, but the Daedalus underbarrel means that you can swap between ammo types. So you can basically have a full thing of 4 weapons and have all 5 different ammos using this. It's also really good on, these are the 2 best weapons in the game in my opinion as of the latest patch. I just did a video where I ranked the top 10 weapons that I think are the best in the game. And the bod also comes with the Daedalus, which is great because you can swap it to a pistol for a much tighter shot or circumference, better gun handling that way. You can change the sniper rifle. I really like the Dark Beast with the shotgun, however. Anything with a shotgun in a barrel makes it shoot out multiple pellets, which is kind of crazy because certain abilities will be based off of how many pellets hit the enemy. Like for example, here's a shotgun under barrel. You're shooting a ton of pellets with this, and if you have like Harlow's Confirmed of Reality, this means you're getting your action skill back almost immediately. So yeah, you can shoot away with the underbarrel. This guy's resistant to corrosive, so that's not going to be the absolute best. But here is the Daedalus on the bod here. If you get infinite ammo with bod, it can actually be pretty crazy. And with this setup, it is increasing my gun handling, or decreasing my gun handling as I continue to level up. But yeah, that was an insane amount of damage. We took out that boss quickly. You can use that also to toggle and make the bod's weapon explode and deal extra damage. Kind of absurd. They really went hard with Daedalus. Like, these two weapons are both Daedalus weapons, so they kind of naturally have it in, but you can get it on a variety of different weapons, and typically when you can, like on the Stray, for example, sniper rifle, it's nice to be able to switch it to a shotgun ammunition type, or really any other type of gun. Like this kickballer here, I got it so you can consume SMG ammo while using a shotgun. It's honestly an underrated one, and I think it's one of the better ones in this game. I might even throw it like high A tier, potential like S tier pick. I think they went hard with this new one. It's kind of like Dahl. And Dahl, I want to quickly mention, is in the game. It gives you increased, I guess it's not really typically in the game, but there is some like stuff related to the game. I don't want to spoil anything. But one thing I want to mention with Dahl is they actually just did a survey asking about our favorite gun manufacturers. And Dahl was listed on it multiple times. So yeah, they're listening to our feedback really well at Borderlands 4. So I expect something maybe Dahl related in the future DLCs. And next we got Hyperion. Now, Hyperion weapons don't appear, only the licensed grips do. This will increase your accuracy with continued fire, which is kind of nice. There are some characters like, especially Rafa and his blue skill tree, which can give him gun handling and things like that. With Al Centro and the Lagarza there to make sure that he doesn't lose his, he's kind of similar to how this would work. But it's good, just not something super crazy. It also gives shields while you're using that gun, for example. So with something like the Queen's Rest here, whenever you aim it down, you get some shields. You also get the, as you fire, it's just going to continually be more accurate. You can especially see it on something like the Convergence. You see the larger circle there. As you continue to fire, it gets down smaller, and then it's a little bit easier to land. While this is good, I don't think it's like absolutely amazing, and there's some others that are pretty decently useful. It's probably like a B tier choice. Like, it's not something bad, but again, you're typically going to want some of the other manufacturers on your weapon. Now, Maliwan's one of my favorite weapon manufacturers in all Borderlands games. They're always good. Elemental damage obviously being a core staple of how Borderlands itself works. But did you know you can get it on things like the Dark Beast, which is actually absurd how strong it is, because not only is this weapon massively buffed over the last patch, but getting a shock or a fire version of this is crazy when the corrosive one obviously is kind of limited to certain situations. You can also get cryo or radiation. Anytime you can get a Maliwan licensed underbarrel, the only downside is you can't switch between, like with this one here having a Daedalus, it's one or the other with the Maliwan or Daedalus since they use the exact same part. Same thing with Atlas, you can't have an Atlas underbarrel as well. Anything underbarrel related will likely be, it's just going to be stuck to one weapon or the other, but actually pretty powerful because, yeah, being able to choose your elemental damage type and swap on the fly is insanely strong. I can't stress that enough. Obviously, it's a big core principle of Borderlands games, so I think most people knew. Maliwan's another one that's going to go up in the S tier just because it's so impactful. If you can get it on a weapon, especially like a very powerful weapon like the Dark Beast here, it's going to shred through pretty much everything because you can choose between the two of them. Certain bosses like are very weak to shock, so you can just stay in the shock form. You don't need to switch it, but dual health bars. Typically got corrosive and fire. This is going to be one of the best weapons in the game. I should also mention that Maliwan has a bunch of other ones. Like you can get underbarrels that shoot out energy discs, some rockets, grenades, singularities. There's a lot of other ones, but I just want to talk about the licensed one that's going to switch between the elemental damage types because I think that's by far the best one. However, there are some crazy builds that potentially will get patched that let you use the underbarrels that shoot out the energy disc from Maliwan. Those are also kind of S tier, so I still stand with my S tier review there. Now, Order has some interesting ones. You get like the Death Drone, the Heal Drone. Normally, Order guns, you charge them up to 5 rounds, which isn't amazing, but it's something. It's really the underbarrels that give you different like Seeker missiles and rockets and stuff. Unfortunately, Order is one of the most, it feels half-baked, unfortunately. Like, the guns are strong-ish. The Rooker being a new one that's actually somewhat useful, but I do think that the Order underbarrels are amazing from my experience. Now, the Order underbarrels can also give you things like the Seeker missiles, charge up to 4 Seeker missiles, dealing 9,000 damage each. Yes, they're decently strong. The only thing with the underbarrels is they're not as spammable and like abusable as the Maliwan ones. Order is okay. I feel like this is one that's a little bit, it's a tough one to rank. I'd have to say it's probably like one of my least favorite, actually. I don't find them, at least until the DLC comes out, maybe there's going to be some good Order ones. I do really like the Rooker sniper rifle. I do want to mention that because it has a special underbarrel, the Callus, which shoots out 2 needles. It's kind of like, it's called Rooker, like Michael Rooker, Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, for daddies, not fathers. And its underbarrel is pretty cool, so you can shoot it out and then just aim at something that they're going to spin around and target whoever you're aiming at, which can do a decent amount of damage. The gun itself has to charge up to be actually effective, which is Not amazing, I'll be honest. It's okay on like a Deadshot Vex, but yeah, order guns are typically some of the weaker and harder to use. Now, Ripper parts are kind of interesting because with Ripper, you can turn anything into fully auto firing, and it's going to shoot a little bit faster than it normally would, but it does take a second to charge up. This is really good on a lot of weapons, like you can see it here on a Maliwan shotgun. What's crazy about this is you can use it with Rafa for infinite ammo and make the slower firing guns shoot a lot faster. I showed it on a TK's wave there earlier with Rafa. Charging up makes it shoot a lot faster. One of my favorite guns in the game is actually a Ripper gun with this Stray. A full auto sniper that automatically aims. Kind of good. I think it's best on this 7th Sense pistol. I had that on Rafa as well, and it's actually quite powerful there. Basically, you're going to want to use this as a way to increase the speed of your gun. Something like the Oscar Mike, you see it charges up and then it shoots, and then it's going to shoot a little bit quicker than it normally would. I think it's pretty solid though overall, just because it's a way to make some of the guns that aren't fully auto become fully auto guns, and obviously that's quite powerful when you consider the fact that like people like Rafa and Harlow can get infinite ammo, so they really take advantage of that increased fire rate. I'd have to say Ripper's probably another one that's like B tier, like not stand out amazing, but it's a good one. Next we got Torgue. Yeah, one of my favorites. They also gave Torgue a stupidly insane buff. I guess we should break this down into the two different types of Torgues that we can get. So there's one that'll have regular explosives, and there's ones that have Torgue stickies. These are where it becomes insane. On something like the bod, which is kind of funny because you can use this to switch between ammo and also get the gyrojets. Now, the gyrojets will explode on reload, so what this means is you can use things like the witchy trigger finger from Vex, you can use bullet buddy luck from Rafa, or the green skill tree Harlow that regenerates her ammunition, and you can just continually fire this infinitely, and it gets 3% extra damage per shot. I think everyone knows about the bod, which is 15% if you get all 5 pellets to land. And if you can get a enhancement that's going to increase your fire rate, while using a Daedalus gun up to 50%, you can shoot this really fast with that infinite ammo and one-shot any boss in the game pretty much once you reload it. So here on like this Vex build, basically I'm using Witchy Trigger Finger to be able to get my ammo back, and I just continually keep firing that. My build's not fully optimized for this at the current moment, but you can see it's actually doing a crazy amount of damage on the boss, because the more of those you stick to it, the faster you're going to be clearing its health bar. This is the way to delete heavy bosses like the Bloom Reaper in a quick amount of time. But you can also get Torgue Impact magazines. So something like TK's Wave here can have the Torgue Impacts, which just increases it and gives it splash damage, which people like Rafa and Amon can actually get increases to their splash damage. There's even rep kits that will give you more splash damage. So honestly, I don't mind having Torgue because they removed like explosive damage type from the previous games and made it just kinetic damage, which means that Vex can get lifesteal off of it. Some of the weapons like TK's Wave become absolutely insane whenever you add in Torgue, but I'd have to say Torgue normal explosives are like A tier. Torgue stickies, S tier. It's just the best, honestly, in the game. And I'd probably put it right behind Jakobs, right beside Maliwan there. Because, yeah, the bod is just the best weapon in the game until they potentially nerf this. And I don't know if they can because it would kill the identity of this. Maybe they'll reduce the amount of damage, but yeah, it's just some of the best, unfortunately, in this game. Now, one that doesn't actually have enhancements or under barrel attachments is Vladof. Oddly enough, what I feel like to be the Vladof one is the hand crank, which increases the fire rate. So yeah, gives you full auto firing on a different gun, which is nice. I think that that's what it feels like Vladof, but it doesn't really have its own one. Vladof weapons are some of the best. Some of the best ones are actually Vladof with things like Wombo Combo, like a top 5 weapon in the game. There's also things like the Atling gun, which I find really fun for a heavy ordnance. So yeah, there's good weapons, but there's no Vladof ones, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm just going to set that into the D tier because it doesn't really exist. But Tediore, finally. Now, I do want to, again, mention briefly that I think we will see doll enhancements or doll licensed accessories come back in the future whenever we see the DLC come out. But until then, Tediore, the most number of different types of abilities and enhanced attachments that you can get comes from Tediore. I don't mind Tediore because whenever you have it, like there's a few different varieties, like this one here. Tediore Replicator, throw an additional gun on reload. Tediore Shooting, thrown gun shoot enemies until it's out of ammo. Tediore Combo, thrown gun can be shot to increase explosives radius. But the big thing here between all of these is its reload speed. If you're using something like Tediore, you just throw the gun, you get a new one in your hand. It's really quick. There's also things like you can get it on many, like obviously it's an accessory you can get on a bunch of different weapons, but like the Rooker, which usually has a longer sniper rifle, like a 2.4 second reload. Now 1.1 seconds, and it becomes a MIRV, so throwing gun spawns 4 grenades. And that's just a flat out boost for our DPS. So yeah, Tediores are good. I personally don't like using Tediore because the big downside to using a Tediore licensed accessory is if you reload the gun, it's going to eat up all the ammunition inside it, which I mean isn't a huge deal in the end game, but it's something that you may not like to play with. And personally, I don't love it too much. I do think that Tediore ends up being like a B tier, probably Summer's maybe a little bit worse than Hyperion, but in my opinion, I think obviously Jakobs being one of the strongest. Torgue Sticky's probably is the true strongest, but I'm going to split them and have both options there. Maliwan obviously being very strong, being able to choose your elemental damage types in combat is strong. It could even be like a high A tier, like this could be acceptable, but I'm going to leave it up here too, just because some of the best weapons in the game that got buffed use Maliwan. I may do this updated whenever the future DLCs drop. I actually think Daedalus could also go up into the S tier. Like these are really tough, honestly, because Daedalus is so good on a lot of different things, especially the dark. Like both these get the dark beasts and they're crazy. Atlas, Hyperion, Tediore, and Ripper are kind of in the middle of the pack, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below and let me know what type of Borderlands 4 content you guys would like to see next. And have yourself a great day.